Okay, today, do you see that? There's Mogli chicken or lamb. It's my mum's handwriting. This is a pound of chicken, but I've got a kilo of chicken breast, chicken thighs. It was my mum's friend, somebody called Roshan Rauji, now Mrs. Rahin Tula. I don't know if they're Anglo-Indian. Doesn't sound it, probably not. But anyway, this is a recipe my mum thought was good enough for her to keep. Now, I've got to say, the recipe here contains chillies, garlic, ginger, curds, which is in fact yoghurt, I think, saffron, tomato puree, cloves, peppercorns, cinnamon, jeera, teaspoons, of course, seeds, cumin seeds, that is, and jeera powder, and chili powder. Now, this original recipe was when people used to boil chicken. So basically, she fried the onions, put it to one side, and then she boiled the chicken and with whole spices, cloves, peppercorns, cinnamon. And when it was tender, removed it from the heat, and then marinated in the curds and the saffron. So I'm not going to do that. I'll try and attach the original recipe at the bottom here for those that are dead keen. I'm going to try and modernize it a bit and see what it tastes like. Okay, what it hasn't got in the recipe here is salt, so you have to have salt to taste, and we'll see how we go. Now, you remember the earlier recipe was that you cooked the chicken first, or boiled it in whole spices, you put it to one side, and then you marinate it. Well, what I'm going to do is I've got some saffron. I did about a large teaspoon of saffron, a bit of warm water, and yogurt, and I've given it a good mix. And well, now what I intend to do is I intend to marinate the chicken in the yogurt. And because I'm lazy, I don't know if you can see that. That's where I bought it. I'm going to marinate it in that. I can't be bothered doing it washing up, so that's all marinating in there. So there's the marinade. It's yogurt and saffron. So I'm going to put that in there and let it marinate in that for a bit. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start fry the onion, very much like for a normal curry. I'll fry the onions, fry the whole spices, and then to dark brown. Then I'll add all the powders and everything, and then I'll add the chicken. And what I'm going to do here is, rather than boil the chicken, I'm going to put the chicken in and just cover it with enough water and the stock that's come out of the chicken, and that should be enough to cook it. Anyway, we'll see what happens. I'll take you around. Here's the ginger. I've got red chillies, which is what the recipe was for. I wasn't sure whether it meant dry or real fresh chillies. Normally in my mum's recipes, when he said red chillies, she normally meant dried red chillies. But anyway, I'm going to do it because in the absence of any, because she's dead, of course you can't ask her. I'm going to put the equivalent of what I think is 6 red chillies in there with the ginger. And I've got a nice decent sized pod of garlic. I don't think it's worth buying the tiny little garlics that you can get in, say, places like Lidl's, and I think you're better off, and Sainsbury's really. I think you're better off getting a decent sized one like that, and then say using 5 or 6 pods if you're into garlic, which is what I am. So I'm going to chop all this up, and then I'm going to put it in that over there, which is the grinder. Now that's the garlic. It's up to you what you put in. That's good enough for me. And then now I've got 6 red chillies, 2 inches of ginger. And now that's going to go much later on once the onions have turned brown. I'll show you that in a minute. That's the chilies and garlic and ginger chopped up. Right, I'm going to start frying the onions, which I'll try and take the. Oops, you lost it then. There's the onions, which I've just put on. Now, whole spices can be fried with the onions, so I'm going to put in cinnamon to flavour the oil. I'll fry that to light brown. And then I'll add all the other powdered ingredients, which I'll show you in a moment. Oh yeah, here's cloves. So they're another whole spice. So put them in. Not too much because they're quite strong. What's that, 6, 7? Yep, something like that. So they're in there. So the whole spice is frying. It's taking a bit of time to get going. But what I'm going to do also now is I'm going to add some cumin seeds once it's got hot, started to fry. So that's now frying. Now you could have chopped the onions up. I don't know, for some particular reason I just thought I'd fancy them sliced, but I could have equally have just chopped them up small, put them in. So these will be going to the light brown. I'll show you that, because then when the light brown is, I add the garlic, ginger, chilies that I've already chopped up. They go in there then it goes to a darker brown, and I put in the powdered, which is in fact cumin seed and chili powder. Sorry, cumin powder and chili powder. And then I put the chicken in, and I'll start frying it and see how much water comes out of the chicken. And then I'll add maybe more marinade. There's also the tomato puree to go in as well. So that I have to go in with the chicken probably. So there we go. I've done loads of recipes on this in the past. I'm not going to do it again. That's 2 cups of boiled rice, washed regularly, so it's cleared a lot of the starch. And I've just put a teaspoon of salt in there, and I'll put it on the pan. It's sort of like a medium heat, so medium to high. So, and that'll just do it. Now, if you want to make that yellow rice, you add a teaspoon of turmeric in it. You can add cloves to it. You can add cardamoms to it to give it a bit of flavour. And I'm just showing plain boiled rice. And you can see over there, I think the onions are browning. Got to be careful of that because I want to brown them, but I don't want them to burn. So I'll turn them down a little bit now. Once they get light brown, then I'll add the other spices. I'll show you that when it comes to it. But I've decided now to add the cumin seed. And very often people get the hot oil, they put sugar, cumin seed in, and then proceed with the recipe. No problem with that. Except that I don't want the cumin seed burning. And so I've waited till it's moved quite a lot on. And then I'll put the cumin seed in here now. And what will happen is they sort of puff out as they fry. So what's that? That's about A couple of teaspoons in there, that'll go. That's in there now. And so I'll give that a stir around. And that will slowly pop as it gets into the oil and add flavour. Been quite good, that. Right, so that's done, and the I'll come back to light brown. I'm now going to add the I'm now going to add the chillies, garlic and ginger. So that's going in there now. I wish I was a better filmmaker, but then again, I suppose I don't suppose anybody paid to watch this. Nobody paid to watch it. They'll watch it for free though. I suppose that's fair enough. Right, there you go. So that's now in there. Fry that round for a few minutes, that, because you want to lose that raw smell, which is the chilli and the garlic. Sorry, chilli, the ginger and the garlic, because you know, you can smell it go raw. So when you first put it in, give you a bit of a cough, and then after a while you realise it's quietened down a bit. Now, also I want to get the chilli, the onions a little bit darker. Here's a little tip. My mum used to just fry the onions until they got brown, sometimes just to the bottom of the pan. But of course, when you add the water on, the bottom of the pan comes clear. But it was Ken Home, the Chinese cook, who pointed out that things are sticking to the bottom of the pan. You can actually just add the drops. I'll show you what I mean. That's just a drop of water. A drop of water. That's going to be nice, I hope. Now this particular recipe, the original, was I would have boiled the chicken in the onion, cinnamon and peppercorns, cloves. In fact, I think I might have got that wrong actually. In fact, I put cloves in there and I should have put peppercorns. That was a bit of a mistake then, but not too late to rectify. So put a few peppercorns in now. That's it. Of course, they've gone everywhere because the pot is full up to the brim. Right, now I'm adding a teaspoon of chilli powder, and a teaspoon of jeera. That's the jeera. Fried cumin. Now, because you remember you don't have to fry these onions that brown, because if you boil them, you wouldn't have used them. So let's put this chicken in. Now I've skinned the chicken. That's the chicken there. And you see some sauce left in there. I'm going to add that in a minute. But I just want to give it that a little bit of a start. I'm also adding the tomato purée, concentrated, 1 tin. Of course, in my mum's days, they wouldn't have had concentrated tomato purée. That's it. Now I need to make a little bit of a gravy in due course. So let's let's move that chicken around. Oh, I don't think I took the skin off that one. No, I didn't. Oh, just spotted it. Sneaked past me, that one. Best way to do it is spoon underneath to hold it. Tissue to grab the skin. And that's one of it. And there's the skin off. Right, I'm going to add a bit of water to this, a bit liquid. But before I do that, I'm going to add a tiny little bit of tomato juice water, which is there. You don't need much because the chicken's going to reveal a bit. So 2 little cans are probably enough. That's that. And now I'm going to take the yoghurt. And that's in there. Should be a nice stock that eventually. Right, so there, ladies and gentlemen, is my version of my mum's version. But it isn't right, it's just my adaptation of it. So if you want to look at my mum's original recipe, alter it, change it and play with it, feel free to do so. And if you do so, add it in the comments. So I'm going to leave that there on a lower heat now, and I'll set that for about 40 minutes and see if it cooks. It's been cooking for about 20 minutes. That's it there. If you want to reduce the amount of liquid, you can leave the lid off. Now I'm going to turn this over now. set that for another 20 minutes, that, because they're quite big chicken thighs, these, so we'll see how it tastes like. Right, well, this is Mogli Chicken. Looks very nice. There was a couple of mistakes. One is I put peppercorns in it. I should have put cloves only, but it won't make a difference. And of course, I had to adapt the recipe to more modern ways of cooking rather than boiling chickens. Well, the recipe, in fact, was okay. It did have cloves and it did have the peppercorns. So it tasted nice. Now, of course, it was marinated in the yogurt with saffron. And then it had a really, really tasty base. I didn't use that much water. The little, I suppose, one of those tiny little cans of water, because the chicken produces its own sauce. And the tomato sauce was really great. And the chillies, it was a bit hot though, but spicy hot. I enjoyed it. You could have it with rice, have it with chapatis, have it with rice and dal. It's quite a versatile meat, and it makes a difference, so much of a difference to normal chicken curry.